Living Happy Every Day with Dr. LaSharnda. I'm glad you decided to join me again today as we continue to walk through my 5 successful steps for you to overcome any type of securities or insecurities that keep you from moving forward, that keep you from becoming your very best, that will keep you from living a happy life every day. So you know we've already covered tips 1 and 2, positive reflection, positive reinforcement. So today what we're going to talk about is my tip number 3, and that is positive nutrition. And you wonder why I talk about positive nutrition and what does that have to do with you living a happy life every day? Well, come with me so I can talk to you and show you just how important positive nutrition is. So, positive nutrition is important, is just as important to feed your physical body as it is to feed your mind. During the time of reflection and reinforcement, you're feeding your mind. That's the mental piece. And I've talked about before how important for each of us to understand that we are holistic beings. We are not just made of the physical. We are holistic beings, and that means that we are physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And so today, I want to talk about something that I know you hear about it, but I don't know that you hear motivational speakers or people that embrace the positivity philosophy talk a whole lot about, and that's nutrition. Positive nutrition has to do with more than just food, and it has to do with food for the mind, for the physical self, and food for the spirit. And also positive nutrition has to do with the exercise piece, and this is something people don't like to talk about. People can talk about food and think they're on the right track. But if you don't exercise every day, you can still have some problems. And believe this, that what we consume, what we take into our bodies, just like what we take into our minds, that will impact our physical, our mental, our emotional, and our spiritual state. So I want you to know, if you go to the U.S. Statistics and you look, you'll see that today about 1/3 of the U.S. population is obese. And blacks kind of head that up at 44%. Also, when you talk about obesity, when you talk about positive nutrition and how I believe that it's important, because in the U.S. today, you'll see that there's a rise in heart disease, there's a rise in strokes, there's a rise in type 2 diabetes. You see those reports almost daily. And sometimes we blow them off when they don't directly impact us, when we don't have those ailments. But we want to be in the mindset of preventive rather than reacting to some type of disease after the fact. So positive nutrition is a mindset. It's a way of you becoming in tune with your body, with your mind, with that spiritual part of you. So what I want to talk about is, number 1, that there's 3 subtexts that I'm going to talk to you about when it comes to positive nutrition. I want to talk, number 1, about food. People think that they're eating healthy. I see folks in restaurants all the time. I'm with friends, and I see how they select things from the menu. I be around people that really think they're eating healthy. They're eating salad, which is a good start. It really is a good start. And they're eating, pasta. They say, I don't eat red meat, I don't do this or I don't do that. But I want to just talk a little bit about something that I do every day. Now, remember, these 5 tips, these really are things that I practice every single day. This isn't some philosophy out there that I read about. This is something I do. So I get up in the morning, there's positive reflection time. It's time for me to commune. And then I read my Bible. That's time for me to, feed my mind and for me to set the footing, the foundation for what I need to, that mindset I want to be in when I walk out the door every day. I want to be positive. I want to make sure that I'm of the mind to contribute to the universe and not go out and take in all of the negativity, all of the toxins that's waiting for me when I walk out. Now, positive nutrition and food. I know that people think it's okay when they hear about eating, grabbing a cereal or a brand bar or something that's, it's processed. If you could just get in your heart, get in your mind that processed foods, it's not good for you. And when I talk about eating from a plant, I really mean that. And I don't mean from a physical plant because it really is where stuff that's gone through a lot of processing, lots of chemicals. It's gone through a host of things that may not be good for your body. And I'm saying may, but I'm going to tell you, I know it's not good for my body. So I try to stay away from anything that comes out of a box. I understand that there's times when that's impossible. But if you can, as much as possible, limit the amount of food that you eat from a box. That includes white rice, that includes flour, that includes white sugar. All of those things are not healthy for your body. People will say, well, I've eaten it all of my life. Okay, I think that things have really changed. When I was younger, yeah, there were still boxes of things, but when I started to recall how thin I was and why, I was healthier and a lot of things were going the way I wanted to. When I say going the way I wanted, I had the perfect weight and those things. It's because when I was younger, I was burning a lot of fat. I was always on the move. I was always doing something. So our environment has changed totally. More times than not, you find us sitting in an office, sitting at home watching TV, sitting in our cars. We're sitting, we're not mobile, we're not burning those calories that we've consumed. So now you're taking this processed piece and you're trying now to digest that through your digestive system. And processed foods, it's not easy for you to break down and digest it and be able to pass it through like you would foods that are more natural. So it's important that you look at trying your very, very best to eat from the ground. And from the ground, I mean anything that's a plant. You can eat a potato, you can eat greens, you can eat vegetables, you can eat anything that comes from a plant that's grown from the ground. But try very much to stay away from those physical plants. And you know what I mean by that? Those plants that are processing food for you to eat. It's so important. I don't eat meat, but I'm not saying that you can't eat meat. I am saying, for me though, when I look at some of the way things are processed, all of that stuff's going into your body. And then we wonder why we're having issues with high blood pressure. We're having issues with, our digestive system. So I'm not going to harp on that too much because I know people have their ways of eating, but this is about you changing yourself and becoming a healthier, happier you. So one way of doing that is to think about the items that you are consuming into your temple. You want your temple to look good. You want to feel good. You know that sometimes when you eat a lot of sugar and even salt, but I know people are addicted to sugar and they don't feel good. I told somebody recently, they were eating all of the sugar. I said, you know what's going to happen? You're going to be high here in a minute. You're going to feel really good, but you're going to go crashing in a little while. And then you wonder why you have no energy a couple of hours later, or just be careful about your consumption of sugar. Also be careful about your consumption of salt because salt's not good for us either. I see people they struggle with high blood pressure, heart disease, and some of those things, and they just pour salt on their food, and I don't get it at all. Don't you want to live a long, happy life? So think about the things that you are consuming because that stuff that you're consuming into your physical self will have an impact on your mental and your emotional state. You see where people are really quite happy when they're all pumped up on sugar. You can see it readily in children. And the minute that goes away, they're grumpy. It's hard for them to want to get along with people. They don't feel good, those type of things. So try to think about the things that you're consuming. The other thing is, now that I'm on the subject of sugar, you also need to think about the sodas that you consume. Drink no sodas, none, because it's pure sugar. Drink no sodas whatsoever. What you should be doing is trying to wash out those toxins that are in your body. And how do you do that? something natural, and it's called water. So try to drink as much water, drink gallons of water if you can, but flush your system out. Flush your system every day. Try to drink your 8 glasses of water a day. And I know you'll say to me that, you know what, I can't do that. That's impossible. I just don't like the taste of water. There's all types of things out there now. Like, how about just a natural lemon or a lime and squeeze it and put it in your water, and that'll help you to consume it. It'll help you to be able to drink the amount of water that you need. And on the other subject of sugar, if at all possible, stay away from those processed packages of sugar or sugar substitutes. I have no evidence of this, but I am convinced for myself that instead of those helping you lose weight, and instead of those assisting you in becoming a healthier, more lean you, I think that they cause you to crave more of that stuff. But don't do that. Try to find something that's all natural. You know, use honey to sweeten the stuff that you're drinking. Use something that's tasteful. Cut up lemon, cut up lime, cut up strawberries, or any type of fruit that you like, that taste, and put it in your water to try to help you get down those 8 glasses. The other thing that you can try to do, and this is something I do every single day. What I'm telling you, it is not something I've read, although I'm sure there's many people that are doctors and philosophers, and they've tested and they've studied folks, and they've concluded this too. But I drink green tea every day. Green tea, it acts as a purifier also. And try to drink it in its purest form as you can. Drink green tea. Try to stay away from putting a lot of caffeine in your body. Your body is a temple. You want to treat your body as such. Do you care about how you look? Of course you do. If you didn't, there wouldn't be so many people spending millions of dollars having surgery and doing all of the things that they do to try to look wonderful. Well, you know what? We can have all of the surgery in the world, but if we haven't changed from the inside out, and we haven't figured out what it is that's deep inside of us, and let me share what I mean by that. We eat because we want comfort food. We eat because we're depressed. We eat because we're going through some type of challenge. We do all of those things. We pick up fast food quickly instead of taking the time to prepare your food. Just prepare it on Sundays or Mondays and kind of, you know, divvy it out so that you are eating healthy every single day. So be careful about what you're putting into your physical body, that food, that drink, anything that can create problems for you. Don't just blow it off. I see people, they say things such as, you know, I can get the positive thinking piece. I can understand why it's important for me to reflect. And I even understand why it's important for me to reinforce my reflection time. But I just can't get a handle on this positive nutrition, LaSharnda. What is that supposed to do for me? I'm telling you that it all goes hand in hand, because you can take hold of all of the great things in the world, all the great philosophies. But if you're not feeling good about yourself, you're going to have self-esteem problems. You're going to have self-confidence problems. If you don't walk out and feel good about you, and I'm not just talking about the superficial piece of you, but feel good inside knowing that you're doing things to better your body. And what you do inside, it'll come to the surface. It'll better the outside. You'll see. Just trust me in this one. The other thing is exercise. Nobody wants to talk about exercise. People will talk about food and they'll say, oh, I'm eating right, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm counting calories. Remember, that's important to count calories. It's important to observe, be aware of the foods that you're eating, but you got to take action when you realize that the foods you're eating may not be good for you. What is always good for you? Fruits, vegetables, water. That's one thing you know. It sounds boring, but there's a multitude of ways that you can prepare your foods to make them delicious, make you feel good about eating them, and make you feel fulfilled once you've eaten them. Exercise. That's a part of positive nutrition. I've already said in a previous time with you that You don't need to do P90X and you don't need to do Insanity. You don't have to go and spend hours at the gym to exercise. But one thing you should think about doing is finding an exercise that you can do, something that's right for you. Well, let me tell you what I mean by that. A lot of times we start these exercises because everybody else is doing them. For instance, right now the hottest thing going is Zumba. Now I like Zumba, but every time I go, the classes are 50 women more. So I stopped going to Zumba because I just didn't like that crowd. But I didn't stop exercising. I exercise every day. And what I do is something just real simple. You know, I like step aerobics. I love step aerobics. Nobody's doing it anymore because Zumba has taken over. And I like being on the treadmill, and I like the elliptical, and I do weights. Now, just because I'm saying that's what I do, that doesn't mean that you have to do the same thing. Don't do something just because somebody else is doing it. Do what you're doing for you so that you will do it continuously. Because if you start these programs, I tried P90X and I tried Insanity, and I tell you it whooped me so bad. And I'm in physical shape. I'm in good shape. But I was so exhausted, and it was just too much for me. Maybe it's my age, but it was just too much for me during that time. Now, I'm not going to say I won't ever try it again. But you know who talked me into doing it? My son. And he's like 20-something years old. So, of course, he could do it. And I thought, hey, I work out, I do weights, I do all these things, so I can do it too. And I can do it, but it wasn't something that I liked a lot. Not that I'm downing it, I'm just saying for me, it didn't work for me. But if it works for you, do it. Now, if you don't want to do anything strenuous, why not get up and just walk out the door and start walking for a mile, walking for 2 miles, walking for 3 miles, for 5 miles. You know, that's what I started to do. One year I was fasting, and I usually fast during the month of January. For 30 days we go. And that particular year, I decided not to go to the gym at all. But every day when I did my walk run, that would be a time for me to further commune. And so that's what I would do. I would just walk out my front door, I would stretch, and then I would just start out walking real slow. And next thing you know, I'd start running. And I started doing it 3 miles, then I was doing 5 miles. And so that was it. So I'm saying to you, find an exercise that you like, because in doing that, you'll stick with it. But if you do what your friends are doing, if you do what I'm doing, if you're doing the most popular things and you're hating it, then you won't do it. You know, what I like about the gym that I go to, there's a variety of things that you can do. So one day you may do step, next day you may do Zumba, next day you may do kickboxing. Try a variation of things and then see if any of those appeal to you. And if they do, then do those. Physical fitness is really important. Today, like no time in our history, is a time where we're in the technological age. So what happens now is that everything that we do it on some device. We're sitting in our cars. We don't go walking as much. We don't go running and playing like little children. Even our kids don't. So you got to get them up and active, and you got to get up and active. It's easy to walk into your house, get a soda, get some chips, and sit on the couch and watch TV. But I guarantee you that if you live a life like that, you will reap what you sow. It'll come back on you, and before long, you'll say, why? I didn't realize that I was up 50 pounds. How did I get here? I didn't realize I was up 20 pounds. How did I get here? And I'm telling you, as one that was there, and I understand, that happened to me. I was saying to my husband recently, what happens is that we become comfortable, not even realizing what's happening. We become comfortable with that weight on us. We become comfortable being, you know, at a certain weight. And then we start to justify why it's okay. And it's not okay. Take a picture of yourself, how you are today. Pin it on your wall. And then take a picture of what you want to be or what you want to look like, and pin it there too. And make that your goal of getting fit so that you will become a better you. Food, exercise, all of those are important when it comes to positive nutrition. I want to let you share this with you because it's so important. Positive nutrition isn't just about you looking great, although that is a benefit of it. It isn't just about you being healthy, because that is a great benefit, and everybody wants to be healthy. You don't want to spend thousands of dollars at a hospital or in a doctor's office, or having to do some type of surgery, or having to go on a special diet because something set in and you don't understand how you got it. Be proactive. Do those things. Positive nutrition affects your spiritual state. It's not just the body. It's not just the mind. When your body's out of whack, your mind plays tricks on you. Listen to what I'm going to say here. If I'm obese and I don't feel good about myself, how do you think I'm thinking? Do you think that I'm having a positive attitude and thinking that I can run with the big dogs, that I look just as good as anybody else I'm around? Or do you think that I'm having self-esteem issues? And I may not say it, but I have these thoughts in the back of my brain, wondering, if people are accepting me, why don't people call me, those type of things. We struggle with those because those negative voices will play those over and over in our brains. It'll make us question who we are, question our ability. We can be the smartest people in the world, can be, educated, can be people that have lots of friends, but we will have self-esteem issues. We'll have insecurities because we don't feel good about how we look. We question whether or not people think we're fat, or if people think that we are, too skinny, all of those things, because, you can go the other way too. You want to be healthy and happy. Now, so that physical piece has now translated over to that mental piece. And that mental piece will affect your emotional psyche, because you can become depressed, you can become despondent, you can become, really sad to the point of isolating yourself because you don't want to be around other people, you don't feel good about yourself. So now do you see how the physical has now translated into the mental, the self-esteem piece, and then into the emotional, how you feel about yourself, that emotional piece. You don't feel real good. You feel sad, despondent. You feel depressed at times. Now, let's look at that spiritual piece. When you don't feel good about yourself, when you always question your value, your worth, when you question whether or not you are, a person that God's called you to be, and if you are called to make a difference in the world, and if you really are called to make changes in other people's lives, when you start to feel that way and you're questioning that part, do you think it's easy for you to go to God in prayer? Do you think it's easy for you to go to the throne with boldness and confidence? Do you think that it's easy for you to lay down your burdens at the feet of the cross? Or do you now think, I'm not worthy? It's hard for you to go out and talk to people about what you believe when you're having doubt yourself. So all of that translates into, impacting the holistic person that you are. When we're going through those particular types of emotional turmoils, and we go through those things, I don't know that we're ready to get up in the morning and reflect. I don't know that we're ready to get up in the morning early and pray or meditate. I don't know that we're able to then pick up something positive and feed ourselves the way we need to reinforce ourselves. You need to feed your mind with that, those positive books that I've talked about. You need to feed your mind with those. You need to feed your body with foods that are natural, nutritious, and those foods that will not inhibit your digestive system, but those that will help you to become that leaner, thinner, that healthier you. You also need to feed your spiritual self, because remember I've said to you that there is a plan and there is a purpose for you. There's a plan and a purpose for every single one of us. I believe that with my whole heart. And you may not feel it. You may feel let down, or feel like people are ignoring you, or that feel that people don't believe in you for whatever reason. And all of those are a result of how you're thinking. It's how you're thinking. What you think, that's what's going to come about. That's what's going to manifest itself. So feeding your mind, feeding your body is important because doing those will impact your spiritual state. Spirituality cannot be separated from your physical self. I know people try to compartmentalize things and they want to say, well, the spiritual goes here and, you know, my physical is here and my mental piece is here. I can tell you that is so far from the truth. You absolutely cannot compartmentalize things like that. It all goes hand in hand. Every one of those, they tie together. They're intricately weaved together. So today I've talked to you about tip number 3, and that's positive nutrition. And I hope I wasn't harsh with you, but the harsh reality is this, that if you don't think about what you're consuming, what you're taking into your body, if you don't think about how that affects your mental state and your emotional state, and how those, in fact, affect your spiritual state, you're on the wrong track. I want you to think about being a better you. And that better you is a holistic you that's not only getting up in the morning or whenever you're taking time to reflect. That person reinforces what they become aware of, and that person now feeds that because ultimately they're trying to accomplish their hopes and dreams and do it in a manner in which, you know, they are glorifying something bigger than they are. So it's been great talking to you today. I want you to join me back again as we talk about the last 2 tips, and that is what? Positive energy and positive encouragement. Don't forget to pick up my book, When You're Happy With You, available on Amazon.com and Barnes & Nobles, and available at almost any Christian bookstore. Pick up my book, When You're Happy With You. You can hear me every week also on radio at latalkradio.com, Living Happy Every Day with Dr. LaSharnda. I'm asking you to please write to me at www.LaSharndaBeckwith.com. That's my website, but Dr. LaSharnda at LaSharndaBeckwith.com. I've enjoyed talking to you about positive nutrition. God bless you and have a great week. And I want you to know this. I believe that you deserve to live happy every day.